Hello, Year 1. Or possibly we could call you Year 2 now, but officially you're not Year 2 until the 1st of September, so I'm going to say that you're Year 1 just for now. You're probably thinking, oh no, thought we'd seen the last of him. You see, the problem is, we only got halfway through the magic Faraway tree. And it's summer, which is usually quite a tricky time to sit down and have reading. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to read to the end of this book. So we've got a fair few chapters left to go, but if you're interested, we'll keep going on this adventure and we'll keep seeing what happens next. Chapter 21. Silky's clock is very clever. Jo sat hunched up near to Moonface. Silky and Beth and Franny talked together. The white goat sat on Beth's knee and slept. The 7 hens tried to scratch the hard floor and clucked softly. "Where's my clock?" said Silky suddenly. Everyone looked round the room for it. It wasn't there. "It must have been left behind in the schoolroom," said Jo. "Never mind, Silky. You may get it back if we get out of here in 3 hours' time." "I hope so," said Silky. "It was a nice clock, and I liked it having feet to walk about on." "It's lucky not to be locked up like us," said Jo gloomily. "If there was a window in this silly round room, we might break it and escape through that. But there isn't even a small window." "And there isn't even a fireplace either," said Moonface. "If there was, we might squeeze up the chimney." "Listen," he said suddenly. "There's someone knocking at the door." They listened. Certainly there was someone outside, knocking gently. "Come in, if you can," said Moonface. "Unlock the door, if the key's left in." But the key wasn't left in. No, Dame Snap had taken that away, you may be sure. "Who's there?" asked Silky. "Ding dong," said a voice softly. "It's my clock," cried Silky excitedly. "It's come to join us." "Ooh," said Moonface, his big face going red with joy. "Tell your clock to go and get the key from somewhere and let us out, Silky." "That's no good," said Silky. "I noticed that Dame Snap wore all her keys on a string that hung from her waist. The clock would never get out their key from her." "Oh," said Moonface sadly. Everybody thought hard. "Ding dong," said the clock again, outside. "Look here, clock. It isn't any good you dinging and donging and knocking to get in," called Jo. "We are locked into this room and we haven't got a key to get us out." "Dong," said the clock dolefully. And then it gave an excited ding and began to dance about on its big feet, up and down, with the little door in its back wide open. "Whatever is that clock doing?" said Silky, in astonishment. "Warming its feet up, I think," said Franny, with a giggle. But it wasn't, for it was an old clock that had to be wound up with its own key, and it was jumping about trying to jolt its own key off the little hook inside it. At last it managed to do it. Clang! The key fell to the ground. "Whatever is your clock doing?" said Jo to Silky. "It must have gone mad." It hadn't. It was being very sensible. It kicked at the key with one of its feet, and the key slid under the door and into the room where the children were. "Oh, look," said Moonface, in astonishment. "Your clock has jiggled its key out of the hook and kicked it under the door. Silky, really, it's a most peculiar clock." Jo snatched up the key. "It might fit the door," he said. He tried it in the lock. It almost turned, but not quite. He was dreadfully disappointed. But Moonface grinned. He took the key and rubbed it with a little magic powder that he kept in a box in his pocket. "Now try it," he said. So Jo slipped it into the lock once more, and it turned right round and unlocked the door. They crowded quietly out of the room, Jo taking the clock's key with him. Silky gave the clock a hug, and it said ding-dong quite loudly with joy. "Shh," said Silky. "Don't make a sound." "We'll try and find our aeroplane," said Jo. "Let's try to get out of a door into the garden. We shall soon find it then." They tiptoed down a long passage, but just as they got to the end, who should they see coming along but old Dame Snap herself. "Quick, hide behind those curtains," said Jo. They slipped behind them, but Dame Snap had heard something and came up to the curtains. She was going to pull them apart when Silky's clock walked out shouting ding-dong in her ear and trod on her toes. Dame Snap gave a shout of rage and she kicked out at the clock, but she missed and it ran away down the passage with Dame Snap running after it. "Good old clock," said Silky joyfully. "It just walked out and ding-donged in time. Another minute and we would have all been found." "Come on," said Moonface, peeping out of the curtains. "We'd better go do our best to get into the garden now, whilst the old dame is out of the way." They tiptoed down a long room and came to a door leading into the garden. Just as Joe was going to open it, he pushed them all quickly back into the room. "Dame Snappy's coming in here," he whispered. "Quick, hide behind the furniture." So, quick as lightning, everyone crouched down behind the sofas and chairs, whilst Dame Snap opened the door and came in, grumbling, "Wait till I get that clock." And at that very moment the clock came running in on its feet again and ding-donged very rudely at her. Dame Snap picked up her long skirts and tore down the long room and the passage after it. The children and Moonface and Silky, the hens and the goat, rushed to the garden door, opened it and crowded out into the garden. "Find the aeroplane, quick," said Joe. They ran down the path and looked for the shining aeroplane. "There it is," shouted Moonface, pointing to the plane standing waiting on the smooth grass. They all ran to it and squeezed in. "I don't like leaving my clock behind," said Silky. "It has been so clever. I wonder where it is." "Look, there it is with old Dame Snap after it," cried Joe. Sure enough, they saw the clock come waddling out from behind a bush, chiming hard, and Dame Snap was after it, panting and very red in the face. The clock dodged neatly behind a bush. Dame Snap tripped over a stone and fell down. The clock shot away to the aeroplane, and Silky helped it in. It sank down into a corner and chimed 63 times without stopping. But this time nobody minded. They thought the clock was really quite a hero. Dame Snap picked herself up and ran towards the aeroplane. Joe pressed the up handle. The engine started to whir and hum. The aeroplane quivered and shook. It rose gently into the air and left Dame Snap below, looking very angry indeed. "Answer this question," shouted Moonface, leaning overboard. "If 5 people, 7 hens, 1 white goat, and a clock go up in an aeroplane, write down how many times Dame Snap will have shouted at them by the time they get home." Everyone giggled. "Do be careful when we land next time," said Beth. "We really must get home now." "I think I know where we are now," said Moonface, as they flew over a curious land where the trees were yellow and the grass was pink. "If you can fly straight on till you come to a silver tower, then fly right till you come to the land of seagulls, then to the left over the 3 Bears Wood, we shall soon be home." "Right," said Joe. He watched out for the silver tower, and when he saw it, tall and gleaming, he pressed the handle marked to the right, and flew on till he came to the land of seagulls. This was quite easy to know, for all around and about, flying on snow-white wings, were hundreds of magnificent gulls. The aeroplane had to go slowly through the crowds of lovely birds. Joe flew to the left, and soon they were over the 3 Bears Wood, and saw the rose-covered cottage where Goldilocks lived with the bears. "Good, now it won't be long before we're home," said Joe. He flew on till he came over the enchanted wood, and then landed in a field not far from it. Everyone jumped out. "That was the most exciting adventure," said Franny, "but I hope we never see Dame Snap again." "Oh, quick, catch the clock," said Beth. "It's trying to climb out of the plane and it will fall." "Dong, dong, dong, dong," said the clock, and it slid to the ground. "We'll have to rush home now," said Joe, picking up his shovel. "Goodbye, Silky. Goodbye, Moonface. See you soon. Beth, bring the goat, and Franny, I will shoe the hens in front of us." They left the aeroplane for Moonface and Silky to do what they liked with, and set off home. And dear me, how astonished their mother was to see the green-winged hens, the snow-white goat, and the fine garden shovel. "You must have been to the enchanted wood," she said. "We've been much farther than that," said Joe. And they certainly had, hadn't they? I'll see you later.